At number 10, Piers Morgan. It is crazy to think that this person ruined their career because they didn't want to take someone's mental health seriously. TV presenter Piers Morgan had a lot to say after Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's bombshell interview. The insight that this royal couple shared in the interview were full of bombshell secrets and testimonies, and also included some serious allegations as they showed the public a new part of themselves, looking deeper into the lives of Meghan and Harry. One person who relentlessly picked the couple's interview apart was Piers Morgan, and his actions on his TV program ended his career in seconds and also led to him getting cancelled online. During the interview, Meghan Markle opened up about her mental health and how it was affected being part of the royal family, saying that there was once a point after she married into the family that she wanted to take her own life. Piers spoke about this on air of Good Morning Britain and said that he, quote, didn't believe a word she said. After Piers made those harsh comments, he started to face massive backlash from all sides as people said that his comments on Meghan's mental health were diminishing and disrespectful. The studio he worked for, as well as Piers himself, started receiving harsh comments, and so Piers actually decided to leave his position at Good Morning Britain. He has since refused to apologize, and no one really wants to work with him after all of this drama, so it could be that his career is finished. At number 9, Chris Harrison. Bachelor Nation was in fury when a scandal took over the recent Bachelor season. It all started when a contestant's questionable past came to light and fans of the show started grabbing their pitchforks on Twitter demanding accountability. Now when Chris Harrison, the show's longtime host, tried to do some damage control, that's where things really got heated and it did not end well for him. When asked about the scandal involving a Bachelor contestant in an interview, Chris went on to seemingly defend this contestant where he said, quote, "We all need to have a little grace, a little understanding, a little compassion. Because I've seen some stuff online, this judge, jury, executioner thing. I haven't heard Rachel speak on this yet. Until I actually hear this woman have a chance to speak, who am I to say any of this?" End quote. People found his comments to be offensive and insensitive, saying that he was too quick to defend this contestant's actions. Even though he sort of tried to justify his comments, making it so that he wasn't necessarily defending this contestant, the fans still came for blood and they got it. After everything was said and done, Chris ended up leaving the show, effectively ending his career after this one talk show interview. Now before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also maybe consider checking out my gaming channel, Viper Girl. I've got lots of fun stuff going on over there and I upload daily, so come check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Sinead O'Connor. SNL is one of the most popular and successful variety/talk shows out there, and because it's so popular, things can often go wrong with so many people watching and so much on the line for people's careers. One of the biggest scandals to come from SNL is probably the one involving Sinead O'Connor and how she called out the Catholic Church during a performance in 1992 that effectively destroyed her career. On this episode, Sinead was asked to perform a few songs for her newest album at the time, and though she agreed, there was a little fine print to accompany her appearance. Sinead asked to perform a rendition of Bob Marley's song War instead of a piece from her own album. That night, she got up on stage, sang the song, changed up the context of some of the lines, and made a bold statement at the end, after she held up a photo of Pope John Paul II and tore it up in a show of defiance against the Catholic Church. She did all this as a means to raise awareness about some of the allegations that were against the Catholic Church because she had personal experience with those who were allegedly hurt by members of said church, and she wanted to fight against it. This stunt angered a lot of people because for days following the performance, NBC received thousands of angry calls condemning them for allowing something like this to happen. Other celebrities like Madonna and Joe Pesci also had some harsh words for Sinead. After that event, no one wanted to work with her ever again, and her career pretty much went down the tubes soon after. At number 7, Karmin. For people trying to make it big in Hollywood and in the music industry, the idea is to get yourself in front of as many people as possible to build up your reputation. So when you're asked to be a judge on a talk show, that is a huge deal, but only if it goes smoothly, and for the music duo Karmin, that is certainly not what happened, because after a botched SNL performance, their career was over. Karmin, though now disbanded and rebranded, was a music duo who got their start on YouTube by posting covers of a lot of popular songs like Party Rock Anthem and Super Bass. Eventually, they got a large following, leading them to getting noticed by a casting director over at SNL. They invited the duo to perform on the show, and they sang a couple songs songs, but after the show, when the ratings came in, it wasn't looking good for Karmin. They got some pretty harsh reviews, and this completely tanked their career. One critic even said that their performance caused, quote, mild auditory distress. They were never really able to bounce back from this catastrophe of a performance, and so they eventually faded away, ending their careers. At number 6, Bill Maher. We should all know by now that language has the ability to do a lot. It can be good for when you're making positive changes, but it can also come back to bite you if you say something that isn't so nice. Some people, however, aren't very conscious of this, and their harsh and sometimes offensive language can cause them to face massive backlash and can even end their career. Take talk show host Bill Maher, for example. On his HBO show Real Time with Bill Maher, he dropped the N-word while talking to Senator Bill Sass, and as you can imagine, it did not end well for him. During his interview, the senator told Bill that he would like to invite him to Nebraska and, quote, have you work in the fields with us. To that, Bill replied, scoffing at the idea, saying, quote, I'm not a house N-word. After those words were uttered, the fury came from the public in condemning his use of that word. Bill claimed to have been using the word in a joking manner, but that still doesn't take away from the gravity of uttering that word in the first place. Bill was subsequently ripped apart by his audience and even other late-night personalities like Stephen Colbert. After this scandal, his career was never really the same because many people aren't quick to forget these things. At number 5, Sharon Osbourne. Talk show host Sharon Osbourne found herself in some hot water earlier this year after she made some comments about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry that not only caused her to get backlash but also lose a friend. Sharon Osbourne and Cheryl Underwood got into a heated argument surrounding Piers Morgan's remarks about Meghan Markle. During this feud, Sharon backed up Piers's comments about Meghan Markle's mental health, and this frustrated Cheryl because she didn't like the comments that were being made about those involved. The two got into a very heated debate and ended with a lot of drama and sparking a conversation about Sharon's ideals. She was called a racist, and a number of other accusations came out about her and how she's used various slurs in the past when talking about her other co-hosts. As a result of this, the network for their show launched an internal investigation that ended with Sharon being let go from the show. Sharon had been part of the show for so long that her firing certainly altered her career quite a lot. At number 4, Kelly Osbourne. Now, we just talked about Sharon Osbourne and her recent talk show scandal, but her daughter Kelly has also been in her fair share of controversies, including one that also happened while on a talk show that kind of ruined her career. During an episode of The View, Kelly Osbourne really missed the mark while trying to clap back at Donald Trump, and even though she was trying to diss Trump, she ended up getting in enough trouble herself. Just shortly before this episode aired, Donald Trump, who was at the time only a presidential nominee, was saying offensive things about the Latinx community and how he wanted to deport them. I am sure we are all too familiar with this whole concept. Well, in a very poor attempt at clapping back at Trump's racist comments, Kelly said, quote, if you kick every Latino out of this country, then who's going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump? What Kelly was trying to do was defend the Latinx community, but rather than stand up for them, she ended up offending them even more, as her remarks were interpreted as saying that the Latinx community is only good for being housekeepers, as depicted in many racial stereotypes. After facing so much backlash and realizing the gravity of her words, Kelly issued an apology saying, quote, I want to start by saying I always take responsibilities for my actions. In this particular case, I will take responsibility for my poor choice of words, but I will not apologize for being a racist, as I am not. End quote. Kelly completely missed the mark on that one, and it certainly hurt her career. At number 3, Paula Deen. At one point, we all thought that Paula Deen was just a sweet southern mom who liked butter a little too much, but after 2013, she took on a very different label as she was exposed for being pretty racist following a lawsuit that showed the world what she was like behind the scenes. After being deposed, the truth came out after Paula was asked if she had ever used the N-word, and she said yes. This certainly was not good for her image, so she went on damage control to really take the heat off her, but instead of getting things to die down faster, her appearance on the Today Show caused things to get so much worse. Instead of owning up to her actions and trying to clear her name, as most people would try to do in that kind of situation, Paula instead deflected the criticism she was facing and even voiced how shocked she was that so many people were taking offense to her actions. The fact that she didn't even take accountability for her actions rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and and just ended up making the situation so much worse for her and pretty much ended her career after that. At number 2, James Corden. Recently, TV host James Corden has found himself in trouble with fans after his Spill Your Guts segment from the show started facing backlash with fans. Fans are calling for James to take accountability after he made some comments about some Asian foods that he had on the show, because some fans thought this was really offensive. Because the foods that they use in the Spill Your Guts segment are supposed to be ones that you wouldn't want to eat, the fact that some Asian foods like balut were used and called, quote, disgusting, made a lot of people take to the internet to call for accountability and an apology from James Corden. Apparently, James has been making these types of comments about a lot of different Asian dishes on a few occasions, so some people have said enough is enough, and some have even created a petition calling for the removal of the Spill Your Guts segment. Since James has been facing cancellation for this lately, do you think his career is in serious jeopardy, or do you think this will all blow over without any repercussions? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And finally, at number 1, Ellen DeGeneres. The number 1 person on this list who ruined their career on a talk show is no doubt Ellen DeGeneres. In 2020, we watched the comedian and talk show host fall rapidly from grace as allegation after allegation came out, painting Ellen as a nightmare to work with, among other things. She faced so much backlash from things like the treatment of her staff to comments about lockdown and the Black Lives Matter movement. Because of the events of last year, she lost a lot of credibility and respect in the industry, and her show lost a lot of ratings and advertisers as well. She really lost everything and has recently announced that her show will be ending after this last season, making it seem like her career is well and truly over.
Coming in number 10 today, we have Lea Michele. It's fair to say that Lea Michele is a celebrity whose reputation precedes her. The star who shot to fame after landing the lead role as Rachel Berry in Glee back in 2009, and since she's been the center of several scandals. Recently, during her appearance on The Tonight Show, after the show aired, she would spark some fresh backlash after she could be seen moving Sadie Sink out of the way so she could take center stage. When Lea was announced on the show, she would walk onto the stage and she would briefly touch Sadie's arm before reaching across to shake Jimmy's hand. Even though Trake was closer to her than Jimmy, she stepped forward to shake his hand and awkwardly stood in front of Sadie until Sadie decided to move aside to give Lea her spot. In addition, soon after the introductions, Jimmy told Sadie to take a seat on the right of him and Lea to the left, and Sadie had to take a step back to accommodate Lea before crossing over to the stage so she could get to her designated spot. The situation did not go unnoticed, as soon fans would start to praise Sadie for being humble by the way she reacted to Lea's disrespectful and immature attitude. Number 9, Emma Roberts. Back in 2017, podcast host Jane Hunt and Robert Ackerman sparked a viral rumor that actor Lea Michele can't read or write. Since the podcast, fans have been pointing out moments that prove the actress couldn't read, and up until now it's pretty much just been a huge speculation. However, during an episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, Emma Roberts decided to play coy about whether her friend Lea Michele could read, and by doing so, she would reveal that the rumors are actually true. During the interview, Andy Cohen would say to Emma that the biggest misconception people have about Lea Michele is that she can't read. Instead of shutting down the rumor, Emma decided to skirt around the question with a joke and said, well, we've not been in a book club together. While Michelle did try to confirm in a tweet back in 2018 that she can actually read, Emma's joke would definitely prove otherwise. Even though Emma did try to keep things sweet and try to offer some sweet support to her friend by shouting out her Broadway show, the part about Lea not being able to read definitely didn't go unnoticed. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? So don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, we have Whoopi Goldberg. 2022 was filled with controversy for Whoopi Goldberg as she continues to rebuild her image in the spotlight. It appears that the crew at the ABC daytime favorite show has appeared to be lending a helping hand towards the star. On January 4th, joined by her former talk show members on an episode on The View, she took the spot of the moderator on the show, meaning she was in charge of teeing up links and starting debates and conversations. But Whoopi's prominence on the show didn't stop there, as an insider would soon reveal that the crowd was also encouraged to cheer her on the loudest. As the crowd was warmed up by comedian Regina DeSico, specifically, she told everyone to give a loud applause to Whoopi and then continue clapping for the other host. It seemed like the crew wanted Whoopi to get a standing ovation to make her feel like she was the star of the show. She also carried herself as if she had all the authority on the show, and she even was seen talking over the other co-hosts and interrupting them, which isn't exactly a great way to start her comeback, but if someone has to encourage the crowd to cheer for you the loudest, it's a pretty clear sign that your time in the industry is almost up. Number 7. Chris Harrison. Chris Harrison's time away from the Bachelor franchise has really started to take a toll on him. More than a year after he defended a contestant's previous racist behavior in an infamous extra interview, the TV personality has finally addressed all the controversy in a debut episode of the most dramatic podcast ever. In the episode, he would say, "I think I need time to figure out what I want to say. How I felt that mistake doesn't reflect who I am or what I stand for." While his extra comment marked the beginning of his Bachelor downfall, Chris has been left feeling heartbroken, gutted, and embarrassed, and he stated that the backlash took a toll in more than one way. In the podcast, Chris would also state that his comments made him feel sick and worry about his children, loved ones, and family, and since he decided to step down from his role on The Bachelor, he hasn't been able to watch the show, but he has been keeping an eye on the ratings and believes the show is declining in ratings because he's no longer on the show, and that hurts him a bit. Number 6. Sam Smith. Rumor has it that Adele and Sam Smith may have more in common than just their heavenly voices, as fans are speculating that they are actually the same person. During an episode of the Drew Barrymore show, Sam would reveal the craziest rumor they've ever heard about themselves, and it was that they were actually secretly the Hello singer in drag. In the episode, Sam would say, "Everyone seems to think that I'm Adele in drag cause we've never been in the same room together. And if you slow down her voice, it sounds maybe a bit like mine. So people think we're the same person and I'm just in drag right now." While some fans in the past have made theories on social media, like one person tweeting in 2018, "Anyone notice Adele isn't at the Grammys this year? It's because Adele and Sam Smith are the same person and you never see them both in the same place at the same time." Others have even begun to mock the singer on Twitter, suggesting Sam made up the rumor, with one person tweeting, "Sam Smith says the craziest rumor they've heard about themselves is that they're secretly Adele in drag. Never heard that one before." And honestly, wherever the rumor stemmed from, someone definitely owes Adele an apology for this one. Number 5. James Corden. On January 2nd, 2023, James Corden appeared on the Drew Barrymore show, and James would be asked why he was leaving the CBS talk show after what would be 8 years on air. James would then recall a story from 2 summers ago when he was shooting his Amazon Prime video series Mammals. In an interaction with his son Max, who was now 10 at the time, it made him realize that he wanted to spend more summers with his son because he only had 6 more left. While James said he didn't want to cancel the show, he would then blame the situation on his son. However, the timing of him deciding to leave his show just seems more like a career move and reputation thing rather than a reason to spend more time with his son and family, because since entering into the spotlight, James has been a part of several controversies, such as back in October, the comedian's reputation took a huge hit after Keith McNally banned James from his restaurant in New York City and labeled him as a tying cretin of a man who was the most abusive customer he has ever seen, after James was caught yelling at a server who got his wife's egg yolk omelet wrong. Number 4. Chelsea Handler. While Chelsea didn't seem to end her career this year on a talk show, she did decide it was a good idea to mock several huge controversial topics from last year during her monologue at the 2023 Critics' Choice Awards. While the star went on to reference things like the Don't Worry Darling press tour, the Roe vs. Wade Supreme Court overturning. When announcing the cast of The Bear and that they were at the ceremony, Chelsea would then joke about the drama surrounding James Corden from a New York restaurant and how he showed us working in the restaurant industry is miserable. Chelsea then went on to mention that the controversial celebrity diet culture is just insane, and while Chelsea was trying to find a way to have a great time and make everyone feel comfortable, welcomed, and feel like they belonged and to be at the show, she definitely took things a little too far, and all she did was put herself into a little bit of a hole that's going to be difficult to climb out of to save her reputation and career. And not to mention, just a couple of days before, she would make an appearance on The Tonight Show where she would confess that she didn't realize that the sun and the moon weren't the same thing until she was 40. Yeah, let that one sink in. Number 3, Eddie Murphy. The original script for Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home originally had a large role written specifically for Eddie Murphy, who at the time was a box office star coming off the heels of a successful film, Beverly Hills Cops. And additionally, Eddie was interested in appearing in the movie as he was a big Star Trek fan. He even met with the producer, Harvey Benner, and director, Leonard Nimoy, to discuss the part, which he was ultimately decided to not take. When he turned down the role, he originally said it was because he thought making the movie Golden Child would be a better fit for his career, but then recently on his appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he would offer up another explanation when he said, yeah, you know which one it is. It's the one where they go to San Francisco and they get the whales. I was going to be in that one. I met with them. They met when they got to San Francisco, and I said no. I want to go beam up and be on the ship, so I didn't do it. This definitely has some die-hard Star Trek fans screaming as they would have done anything to play this part in the film, and Eddie just turned it down because he wouldn't be beamed up into the ship. Number 2, Prince Harry. On January 8th, Prince Harry made his very first TV appearance since his highly anticipated memoir Spare was leaked. In a pre-recorded interview with the British anchor Tom Bradby, Harry would address some of the most explosive claims in his book that included his confession to taking substances and his fractured relationship with his family. While the star said he was grateful to have the chance to tell his story in his memory and said he'd still be part of the royal family, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to share the story. Many fans of the royal family have stated that Prince Harry definitely should have kept this book hidden in the closet with his dirty laundry, as he and Meghan have been slammed by newspaper columns and the media for a slew of lies that have caused them to mock the royal family as they try to move on and claim to live their own lives. Which has left us all to wonder when this is all just going to stop. Family feuds happen and it's normal. What's not normal is that you bring your family drama to the light and try to claim they wronged you without bringing any key facts to your story. Like, how do we know it's true at this point? And coming in number 1 today, we have Piers Morgan. Seems like Piers Morgan doesn't know how to stay out of the hot seat, as recently he would find himself surrounded by controversy once again, as this time he chose to go against the Queen of Pop after Madonna posted a video announcing her next tour. Morgan on his Talk TV show then said that Madonna, who is 64 years old, is a hot mess, and he even went out of his way to express that she should be put out of the pasture. He also took the opportunity to criticize the fact that she still tries to be a foxy kitten even though she's over 60. After his show, he then decided to bring his rant to Twitter, where he said he thinks Madonna has become the biggest cringe-making fiasco in the entertainment world. Fans definitely weren't happy with Morgan's words, and many just continue to call him out on his insensitive, misogynistic, and even labeled him as a cruel person for his words.
In spot number 10 is the drama between Caitlyn Jenner and Ellen DeGeneres. It was back in 2015 when Caitlyn went on Ellen's show for an interview, and it ended with an ongoing feud between them. During the interview, Ellen asked her opinion on same-sex marriage, and Caitlyn said that there was a time in her life that she did not support it, but now she does. Ellen fired back immediately though, and made it seem like Caitlyn was saying that she does not support the LGBTQ+ community. The tension between them seemed to go past the show because Ellen talked about it on the Howard Stern show. She told Howard that Caitlyn was unfairly passing judgment about gay people and same-sex marriage. Caitlyn later came out with her side of the story and said she was not happy that Ellen painted her in that light. She claimed that she talked to Ellen on the phone prior to going on the show in the first place, and that they already discussed her changing opinion on same-sex marriage. So when Ellen flipped the switch on her during the live interview, Caitlyn was really upset. Cruising into number 9 is the Wendy Williams lip drama. She caused a big stir online after she talked about the Golden Globes on her talk show. It was because she started making comments about the awards show and began talking about the Oscar-nominated actor Joaquin Phoenix. But while talking about him, she mocked the scar that he has above his lip. She said that when he shaves his mustache, he has a hairline fracture, and then she started demonstrating with her hand how his lip scar looks like a cleft lip. People were were furious and said she was insensitive not only to the actor, but also those who have cleft lips. Even Cher was furious and had a lot to say about it on Twitter. One of her tweets said an apology does not make up for what she did, and the other one said that she should be fired for making fun of something that is very painful for some people. Wendy did issue an apology following all the backlash, in case you're wondering, but is that enough? I don't know. She still has her job, so I guess so. In spot number 8, we have the time when Paris Hilton called out David Letterman. I did an entire list of celebrities who tried to warn us about David Letterman, so there is a handful of scandals that I could have used, but the one with Paris is what sparked the majority of them to be revealed in the first place. In 2020, Paris did a vulnerable documentary called This Is Paris, where she opened up about different times that she was belittled during interviews by other people in the industry, David being one of them. One video clip surfaced online showing him bugging her about her time in jail, which happened years before. He kept making very insensitive jokes about it, and even after she asked him to stop, he wouldn't. Paris revealed that he was purposely trying to humiliate her because he agreed not to bring up the jail thing before she even went on the show in the first place. After the clip went viral, a handful of other clips with different female celebrities surfaced, showing him belittling them and also being sexually inappropriate towards them. Taking over number 7 is Steve Harvey's note. He was making headlines in 2017 when a memo he sent off to his staff members was leaked online, showing him in a different light. People are used to seeing his very kind and goofy side, but apparently he is more entitled when he is off camera. The memo was sent from Harvey to his staff and basically told them all not to approach him. It said, "Do not come to my dressing room unless invited. Do not approach me while I'm in the makeup chair unless I ask to speak with you directly. Do not take offense to the new way of doing business." Turns out he was revamping things for season 5 of his show, and with a new crew, he wanted new rules. After the memo went viral, he decided to bail on the rap party for his own show. Probably because the staff all were terrified to even look at him. What do you guys think? Does he have a right to say that in a staff memo? Like, do you think it was too much? Do you think it's valid? Let me know. At number 6, we have James Corden facing backlash for allegedly being racist. This scandal caused a huge debate because some people felt he should be cancelled while others saw no issue with what he was doing. I will let you be your own judge. If you haven't seen his show, he does a segment called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. He fills the table with disgusting foods like cow tongue, different bugs, 1,000-year-old eggs, sardine smoothies, things like that. If his celebrity guest does not want to answer the question, they have to eat whatever is in front of them. He's been doing it for years, but this year he started taking heat after people said some of the foods that he refers to as disgusting are very common in Asian cultures. People said that the segment is culturally offensive and insensitive because many Asian Americans are consistently bullied and mocked for their native foods. James was quick to apologize though and be very understanding, saying that he will not do the segment and he will make appropriate changes to his show. We've made it halfway and we have Megyn Kelly vs. Jane Fonda. In September 2017, what started out as a normal interview led to some ongoing tension between these two ladies. They were having a normal interview which seemed to be going well until Megyn started asking Jane about aging and plastic surgery. It seemed to strike a nerve with her because she became irritated immediately and did not want to talk about it. She fired back at her saying, "We really want to talk about that now?" Then she changed the subject and began talking about her movie, Our Souls at Night. The interview just wasn't the same after that. You could feel like some awkward tension between them. Jane later joked about it months later on the Today Show, and Megyn replied by saying the actress is fixated on the exchange and said it was part of Jane's poor me routine. Things just seemed to get even worse from there. Just went on a spiral and a rant, and it's just not good. Rolling into spot number 4, we have Sharon Osbourne gets fired. Well, she was forced to step away, so you could say she kind of quit. Things turned sour quick when she went on the show and defended Piers Morgan, who gave his opinion about Meghan Markle's big interview regarding the royal family. His opinion was that he didn't believe Meghan's very serious claims. Sharon defended him, saying that he has a right to speak about his views and opinion, but that just caused issues for her because it came off like she was kind of agreeing with him. She tried to defend herself, but it ended up turning into a very heated argument between her and one of her other show hosts. The show had to cut to commercial and bleep out a bunch of F-bombs because the fight got so intense. The show was on a hiatus before it was announced that they would be moving forward without her. The show statement said that her behavior towards her co-hosts did not align with their values for a respectful workplace. With that being said, at number 3 is Piers Morgan gets fired. You already heard the gist of what happened, but there was a lot of drama that led to him quitting the show, but media outlets say he was forced to step away. I feel like that's a nice way of saying, you're fired, I'm gonna give you opportunity to quit, if not, you're fired. He has been adored on the talk show Good Morning Britain, but then ITV announced they were getting a lot of complaints about Piers and they had to investigate them. Turns out the show received 41,000 complaints after Piers said he did not believe a word that Meghan Markle said in her Oprah Winfrey interview about the royal family. If you missed that very shocking interview, Meghan revealed how her mental health was negatively affected by the royal family and brought up certain incidents which were extremely racist and insensitive. Piers was open about the fact that he personally did not believe her claims. He ended up walking away from the show, which seemed to be a mutual agreement with the network either way, because they could not defend or protect his comments. Moving on to number 2, we have Jimmy Kimmel's insensitive comment. During one of his episodes in 2013, he offended the Chinese community around the world after making an insensitive joke. During one of his segments, a child suggested that harming everyone in China as a solution to dealing with America's growing debt. Jimmy responded to it by saying, "That's an interesting idea." The statement enraged a lot of people, even if it was meant to be a joke or sarcasm, and people online were demanding an apology from him. Eventually, Jimmy released a statement saying, "I thought it was obvious that I didn't agree with that statement, but apparently it wasn't. So I just want to say I am sorry, I apologize. It was certainly not my intent to upset anyone." I feel like he just chose to use sarcasm at a very bad time. Like, sarcasm either hits or it misses. Earning the number 1 spot is the feud between Dakota Johnson and Ellen DeGeneres. This has gone down as one of the most iconic and cringeworthy moments in talk show history. In 2019, a feud sparked between the two of them after Dakota went on her show to do an interview. At the time, they had already had this ongoing debate on whether or not Ellen had been invited to her birthday party. In 2018, Dakota admitted she did not invite Ellen because she didn't know if she would want to be invited, so in 2019 she did invite her. But Ellen did not show up to the party and also did not give any explanation why. So when Dakota went on her talk show, Ellen brought it up and accused her of not inviting her to her birthday again. The tension was immediately super uncomfortable as Dakota starts bringing other people into it. She said, I quote, "Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. Ask everybody. Ask Jonathan, your producer." She literally then points to the producer and calls him out during the interview. The producer revealed that she was in fact invited, and then it was super awkward because Ellen didn't even say why she didn't go, and then the audience just had to sit there and watch the whole thing unfold.